Hey KCC, Pastor Dave here. I wanted to take this out in the lobby just because it's so beautiful out there, and sometimes we don't appreciate it, but we have a spot that's pretty incredible. So today I'm coming to you from the lobby of Kalamazoo Community Church, and as we think about the third week of our series, what I want you to think about is what happens when the chips are down. And what I mean by that is this. Okay, Hebrews 10:25 says, let us encourage each other and let's not give up meeting together, but encourage each other, and all the more as you see the day of his return drawing near. And I know that there are some who, like me, believe that that is probably, well, certainly it's more apropos now than ever before, but that's like saying, yesterday is earlier than today. That's really not saying anything. But I do believe we're quite possibly in the beginning of the last days. And I do believe the birth pains are going to become more intense and more consistent and more close together. And it may get within a very short time. I mean, the things that have happened within a short time or the last 5 years have been dramatic. The things that have happened in the last 2 years have been dramatic. And I think it's certainly possible that the things that will happen in the next 2 years will be even more dramatic. But maybe I'm wrong. Even if I am wrong, I guess that's the question I have for you. Even if I am wrong, if this just becomes a pandemic that goes away and everything goes back to whatever normal is and no other dramatic things happen, there's still things that happen in your life, right? When the chips are down in your life, what happens then? What happens when your job goes away, your health comes under attack, your relationship suffers? What happens then? What often happens is we kind of retreat into ourselves, or we find some form of escape. But what is meant to happen from God's perspective is that you're meant to be part of the family of God and get into those relationships, and that those relationships are specifically to help you become the kind of people he wants you to become the overcomers he wants you to be. He wants to help you, and he does oftentimes do that through other believers. And that's the power of community. That's why it's important that you were formed for God's family. And that's why it's important that we not neglect that family. And so one of the things I want to encourage you to do today is to think about how have you neglected or been in danger of neglecting your relationship with God through the family of God, but also think of how can we go further in our current relationships. You all have at least some degree of friendship with the people in your group. Maybe some of them you just met, and so you're just developing a friendship, but some of them might be close friends, longtime friends. Are those friendships deep? Are they the kind of friendships that God would want to use to strengthen you and to help you go further in your own faith? Are they the kind of friendships that are iron sharpening iron? Remember Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. That's what we're supposed to do. So do your relationships accomplish that? Do your relationships help you to get sharper in your faith? Or are they just kind of superficial, fun relationships? I want to encourage you this week to think in terms of how do we get our group, how do I get my friends, how do I get my relationships by my investment, how do I get my priorities around going deeper into the family of God so that we are strengthening one another, we are challenging one another when we need to, we are praying for one another and encouraging one another, surrounding one another with care and grace and mercy and love, and learning to depend on one another so that when the chips are down, and if the chips get down more in our culture, then we need to be able to hang on with one another and depend on each other. So let's go there in our discussion this week. I hope you have a great week. I hope it's a fruitful discussion. I hope you realize as you do that, man, these relationships are important. We don't want to neglect these things, okay? All right? Hope you have a great week. Enjoy. Love you guys.